Hey everybody, I'm back. I know I took a bit of a siesta for a while and I needed it. Really, I just kind of ran out of things to talk about. I didn't have much that was new or interesting to say, and so I figured rather than just make videos for the sake of making videos, I should wait and be calm and chill out and experience other parts of life and just wait until I had something else to say before I made another video. So that time is now. I've been talking to some people recently about homosexuality, and it was really interesting to hear other people's perspectives on this issue. I've heard a lot of perspectives, both positive and negative, things that agree with mine and things that don't, and I've learned a lot. I was talking with some people from a university who did a study on homosexuality and sexual identity, and they were very insightful, I must say. And they had this idea that homosexuality is not really a black or white issue. It's made up of four, interlocking circles, I guess. And the largest circle is the straight community, the straight population that has never had any homosexual tendencies or thoughts or temptations. And then the next circle is a little bit smaller, and it's the people who identify themselves as being straight but have had homosexual tendencies or temptations, but have really never acted out on it and have never wanted to really live that lifestyle. And then there's another circle made up of people who are regularly tempted homosexually and are interested in the same sex, but not enough to really live the lifestyle, and they don't really consider themselves to be gay, but they do recognize that they are of a homosexual orientation. But they don't really identify themselves as gay. They don't think that that's who they are. And then there's an even smaller circle made up of people who do identify themselves as being gay, who live the gay lifestyle, who acknowledge and recognize their attraction to the same sex. And each of these circles is a separate group of people. But I think that more than that, I think homosexuality has an even broader spectrum. As with everything, I mean, most things are not a black or white issue. There are numerous shades of gray between every black and white extreme. So I think that homosexuality is more like a scale of 1 to 10, or 1 to 20, or however many increments you want between gay and straight. And so let's say that complete heterosexuality is a 1, and complete homosexuality is a 10. There are a lot of straight people who, at one point in their life or another, do admit to having homosexual thoughts, homosexual temptations, curiosities. But that's not who they are. That they don't live on that. They don't live that out. They don't act on it. They don't meditate on it. It's just something that perks up in their life every once in a while. So they might be a number 2 on the scale. And then, of course, there are the extreme gays who have never had a heterosexual thought in their life, and they're probably a 10. But then there are, admittedly, homosexual people who are living a homosexual lifestyle who identify themselves as being gay, but they admit that maybe they've had some heterosexual experiences, and maybe they kind of liked it. So rather than being a 10, maybe those people are like a 7. See what I'm saying? And then there are the bisexual people, who are probably around a 5, who will go either way. But even with bisexual people, there are some who prefer one sex over the other. So maybe a bisexual woman is willing to have sex with another woman, but she's really more interested in men. So maybe she's a 3 or a 4 rather than a complete 5 or 6. You see what I'm saying? You can't really classify people in one extreme or another. Just because a person has interests in the same sex does not automatically make them a number 10 on the scale. And just because a person who identifies himself as being gay has a heterosexual experience doesn't mean that the Christian community can automatically make him a 1 or a 2 and say, this is who you have to be right now. You have to be straight right now. You can't do that. You can't expect people to change immediately like that. However, on this scale of 1 to 10, we need to give people the freedom, the liberty, the options, and the knowledge that they can move. They can change numbers on this scale. Maybe somebody has a lot of homosexual experiences as a child or teenager when they're growing up, because they're in puberty, they're experimenting with a lot of things, trying new things, but by the time they get into their mid-20s, they realize, okay, that's not who I want to be, so I think I'm going to stay away from that, stay away from the influences and the people that don't really attract me anymore, and I'm going to start living a more heterosexual lifestyle. So maybe the person was like a 7 or an 8 in their teen years, but then as they grew up and they changed and their personality changed, their interests changed, their desires and goals in life changed, they became more of like a 2 or a 3 on the scale. And maybe as they grow older into their middle-aged years, they might become a total 1 or maybe a 2 at least. And then there are people who live a heterosexual lifestyle and don't even think about homosexuality their whole lives until they're like in their 40s and they have a midlife crisis and feel unfulfilled, and they have one homosexual advance, maybe a guy flirts with him or something, and he finds that, stimulating or exciting because his life is in crisis right now. He doesn't know who he is, and here's somebody taking interest in him. Even if it is homosexually, he finds it stimulating, and so he goes and tries some homosexual relationships. And maybe he starts to like them. So maybe that person was originally a 1 or a 2 for the first 40 years of his life, but then as he grew older, he changed and became more of maybe a 4, 5, or 6. People change, and we need to allow them to change. And I think it is wrong for the gay community to say that anybody who has a homosexual experience needs to embrace that lifestyle, even if only to the point of being bisexual. And I think it is wrong for the Christian community or the conservative community to beat the Bible over people's heads and say, you need to change right now. You had one heterosexual experience or thought, and this is who you're always supposed to be, and you need to change right now, otherwise, I can't accept you. That's BS, alright? That is bullshit. I do not agree with homosexuality. I think there is a better way to live, but I don't think that everybody's ready to change immediately on a whim. It takes time, and we need to allow people to grow, to change, to fluctuate, and to move along the scale of 1 to 10. We need to allow people to change their shades of gray. We need to love them unconditionally, accept them in every stage, every phase of life, and help them through and support them and be there for them. We may not always agree with their decisions. We may have our own disagreements and problems, but regardless, we need to love the person and help them through and help them make the right decisions, the ones that will ultimately help them find the greatest fulfillment in life. I have my own beliefs about what that fulfillment is, but that's not the point. The point is, I need to love you. I need to love the struggler. I need to love the homosexual and the extreme conservative person in every phase and stage of their change. Okay? And so I ask the same from other people in my own journey through life, in my own journey through these shades of gray. Alright? So let's all get together and help each other. Okay? Love ya. Bye.